Wow, what a fight. And Artur Beterbiev stops Anthony Yarde in the 8th round. The live reactions are here right now with my man Sugar Ray. First things first, what did you make of that?
Listen, wow, Anthony Yard, give that man his flowers. That I know his lines in that camp, in lines in the camp. That boy got that dog in him. He got that dog in him. Cause listen, we was just saying it before we went live. The fact that he went toe to toe with Beterbiev and he just said, F it. If you want to go blow for blow, I'll go blow for blow. And it was just complete chaos from round one. And the fact that his gas tank lasted for as long as it did as well, going at that pace, was incredible. I gotta give credit to Beterbiev for his poker face because I think when he went to his corner, you can tell that he was tiring, but whilst he's fighting, that guy's poker face is insane. Even though I think there were many times he was hurt in the fight and he just didn't show it. But I could tell from when he just didn't engage straight away with certain punches. And that is one of the best fights I've seen in boxing in a long time.
Do you know what? I think I'm with you because I don't think a lot of people gave Yard a chance to do anything respectable in this fight. I think a lot of people just expect Beterbiev to come in, do his normal stuff, and leave, and then make that undisputed fight, which we'll talk about. But let's break down the fight itself because you talked about Yard being able to land and stuff. One of the earliest punches I remember is an uppercut that actually lands. And I believe I'm not initial swelling actually caused is Beterbiev that gets the swelling. But
Mhm.
one thing that I learned about this fight was you could dominate 2/3 of the fight in the 2/3 of the round, but the final third, if you're not controlling that, you're gonna come out as uh, the guy that's hurt more. And did you feel like that was how a lot of the fight was progressing throughout?
Listen, you see Beterbiev, one thing I'll give him, that guy says, I'm leaving here with something. Every single round, whether you hurt him, he is getting his lick back, guaranteed. That man says, if you punch me, I'm punching you back. Like that's why it's such a crazy fight because even times when Yard was building momentum, Beterbiev would just come back and just be like, "No, you're holding. Just because you just hit me, you are holding 5 licks from me because I can't let you get away with that." And I think that's just you know, the boxing.
Savant?
I don't know whether to call it IQ savant or just gamesmanship from him, where he's just like, I can't let you get away with getting a flurry on me because he knows how the judges will see that. So he knows, cool, because you got that flurry on me before this round ends, I'm going to get something on you. Even if you win this round, I have to put in the judge's mind that this is a closer fight than it is, or put some doubt in their mind. And there were certain times that Yard backed Beterbiev into a corner, and it was almost like it was goading him into it because as soon as he got to a corner, he would just cut. He would just cut a certain angle, and next thing you know, Yard is in a corner, and Beterbiev is just unloading, and you're just looking at it like, what? Like, how did this happen? And what a back and forth fight, man! But one thing I will say is, boy, Father Time is real. Beterbiev is starting to look old, and in the words of Thanos, dread it, run from it. Destiny arrives all the same. And I don't know if him and Bivol fight. I'm going Bivol.
Do you know what? I want to save this because there's another name that was mentioned just before the broadcast was close to ending as well in regards to
I
who.
think I know you're speaking about, but let's carry on to.
Um, you touched about how when they got into the corner, the fight kind of switched, and I think I was saying as well through the fight when they were standing toe to toe, it was always
Mhm.
Beterbiev that was in control, but there was some times that Yard would actually hit shots. But then, would you say there was an element of recklessness, or in a good way, that Yard went into that Yard had during this fight? Because you'd see him go for punches, land, and then go forward a bit too aggressively, and then he was getting caught, and then he became the guy that was then being hunted.
I think what is the case of is the fact that like I mentioned before, Yard isn't some slickster boxer. Well, he's got, don't get me wrong, he's got skills and everything, but he's not an evasive boxer like that. He's slick, but he's not evasive. And I think Yard just realized, and his camp just realized, you know what? Instead of trying to not be, what happens a lot of the time is that boxers get to a certain point and get to a high level, and then they try to change who they are once they get to the top because they feel like, oh well, this is so and so's game and we can't do that here, so let's completely change who we are. And I think Yard just realized that no, I am who I am. So if I have to take blows to get to the target, so be it. And I think that's what he done. He just went in there and said, I'm going to implement my game by fire or by force. And listen, what a fire it bring or what a force he became, because Yard was, there are certain times he took certain licks and I just thought, oh crap, it's going downhill. And he would just come back, bam, bam, bam. Like I said, he got that dog in him. He was just like, I am not going nowhere. Even like before he got stopped, and I'm sure we'll talk about this later on. And it's like he just showed that I'm gonna stay here regardless. And I think that's what he done the right tactic. Because, like I said, what's the point of going in there and trying to turn into a boxer that you're not? No, go in there and be who you are. And if that means you're gonna have to take some licks, then so be it. But it's better for him to go out on his shield like that than to go out there, fight a fight that's not his, and then you're gonna look back with regret saying, "Oh, I wish I'd done this, that, and the third." That guy is a big main event guy, and he lived up to expectations for himself. I think he exceeded expectation of the public who thought he was just gonna go there and get sparked out, and the same nonsense they try to put on AJ about being a bodybuilder. I think some people had that with Yard, and he showed in there. It's like, no, he's got the skills to pay the bills.
And we're getting a few comments, guys saying quality fight. Yard gave it his all, well fought by Yard. I think what we found on social media, I think that's like the barometer just to engage what people think about fights nowadays.
Yeah.
Is that a lot of people gave credit to Anthony Yard, who may not have necessarily even seen him previously, but because it was a title fight, because it was free to watch on BT, kind of free. I guess you got to pay for BT, but it's not
Yeah,
paid.
yeah, yeah. It wasn't an additional payment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it gave him a new platform for people to engage in, and also I guess the guys we had Boatsi on as punditry as well, so it shone a light on light heavyweight boxing. I want to get onto that. Do you think this was the perfect thing for Frank Warren to do, to put this for free? Because it technically being a world title fight, we've seen fight of lesser quality or lesser value be put on pay-per-view.
Mhm.
And this could easily have been one of them things if they wanted to. And yes, people would have got frustrated by it, but you could see why it could be done. So did Frank Warren, even though we criticize him, nail it by putting this free on?
I think, yeah, it was a smart thing to do. Like, you want to showcase your fighters, and you keep even putting excellent fights behind the paywall before someone's even had the opportunity to become a bigger person than they are. It's like you're doing a disservice to them. So I think putting it on just like within normal subscription was the best thing they could do, because then by doing that, it's like more people, you get more eyes on him. I was at a pub watching a fight, and it's like more people were looking into the fight, and there was a lot of people that went into there just thinking, oh, they just want to see a better beef demolition. And there's people in the pub coming up to others saying, I like Yard, but Bear Beef's just gonna go in there and steamroll him. And he didn't. He did not steamroll him. Yard stood his ground and gave it some and more. And I think what the brilliance of this not being on pay-per-view is that I think Yard's stock went up, especially the way that he got stopped. Because if he carried on and he got iced, I think it would be worse than, it would still get respect for going out on his shield, but obviously his health wise and just the look of it would be worse. But I feel like the way that he got stopped was good, because it made him look like the warrior that he is. He went out there on his shield, and sometimes corners have to go out there and protect the fighters from themselves when they want to be warriors. And I think that was, initially I was emotional. I'm thinking, nah, they shouldn't have stopped that fight, but I understand now.
I was going to say, we've got another comment on that, just on the topic of pay-per-view, that fights are overrated being on pay-per-view. I kind of agree with it, but I understand where certain fights are in their lane where they deserve that pay-per-view side of things. Let's go on to the stoppage itself. You said initially that you thought maybe it could have carried on, but obviously looking back at it, it was a good stoppage. One thing that felt to me for like the 7th round, even the 8th as well, was Beterbiev looked like the fighter that was tiring. And you talked about Father Time, and then obviously we get the stoppage as well. So is this like a two-sided thing with Beterbiev where now we might see him get a bit more tired going forward in fights, but again, you've still got to be wary of the power that he has. And again, with the stoppage, are we all unanimously confident in saying that it was a great stoppage?
I think with Beterbiev getting tired, I think people need to give credit to Yard more because it was the pace that he put on. It wasn't just a case of, Beterbiev is just going all out and he's getting tired. It's like, no, the pace that they fought at was crazy. That is a nuts pace. Even if you're in your prime, that pace that they fought at is crazy. You can't, I don't know how they managed to go at that pace until the 8th round.
Do you know what was funny during that? You could see at certain points in the fight, there's about 2 minutes left of a round.
Yeah.
Both of them are open their mouths, they're breathing out. You can see that they are getting tired. It's not
Yeah.
guys are 35. These guys have muscle. They've got a lot of weight on them as well. But carry on.
Because it's crazy because Yard's output did not go down, and Beterbiev is just continuously walking him down regardless. And one thing I'll give to Beterbiev though, he's very efficient. And I think because of his power and his knockout record, I don't think he gets enough credit for just how much of his boxing brain that he has. Like his boxing IQ was really showing. Like I said, just things like slick moves of when Yard was backing him into a corner. And like I said, I think sometimes Beterbiev was goading him into it because it was just like, yeah, back me into the corner, back me into the corner, cuss at angle. Next thing you know, he's unloading on Yard, who's in the corner. And it was just like, that is
Yeah.
some very good veteran moves. And sometimes when Yard had him hurt, Beterbiev would just hug him. Like, you done the smart thing. Like, why are you going? Don't try to go blow for blow. Like, if you're hurt, just grab him, clinch up a bit, get your breath back a bit, get your bearings. And I think near the end of the fight, Beterbiev started showing more veteran moves like that. But as for the age thing, Father Time, man, he knocks on everyone's door. And at 38, I think Beterbiev also knows. I think that's why he wants to make the undisputed fight as soon as possible because, yeah, it is really getting to the point where I think he knows that fight was a close call. And I know that if I'm presuming the person that you was alluding to before was Callum Smith for the WBC mandatory.
No, so this is where.
Oh,
So I don't know if you saw what Bunsey said. Now I was thinking about it, and it makes sense. So Canelo fought Bivol, and everyone assumed Canelo was going to beat Bivol. And
mhm.
Bivol outboxed him to a point. If you rewatch the fight, it's a bit more closer than we think. With this performance of Beterbiev, yes, Yard was able to hit him, but being that Canelo is still a better boxer, if he was to fight at light heavyweight again, is it smarter for him to take this fight than it is to take a Bivol rematch?
Let
I
me
know
tell you something.
proportionally wise, it's a
The
nightmare.
only smart way for Canelo to be Beterbiev is literally if Beterbiev was to fight Bivol and somehow Beterbiev beats Bivol, then it's the right time because then there'll be enough wear and tear. But I'm sorry, there's weight classes for a reason, and Beterbiev will absolutely cause damage to Canelo because Canelo likes to go into firefights as well. And I feel like looking at the Yard fight, looking at this fight today, if Canelo tries to do that with Beterbiev, he's getting hurt. I'm sorry, he is getting hurt. There's no way. And this is what it comes back again to the whole point of give Yard more credit. I think people are just looking at it like because it's Yard that they think that everyone else can just do that. No. If you try to do that with Canelo, if Canelo tries to do that with Beterbiev, he's getting hurt. I'm sorry. Even I was thinking Callum Smith.
Mm.
I feel like depending on how Callum Smith, he looked good in light heavyweight. He's not as weight drained. Hopefully, he uses his jab and doesn't fight stupid like he did in Canelo fight with having that much, high and reach advantage and giving it away. But here, here's the thing: Bivol, I believe, is going to fight Waxy next. That's my guess. He's gonna face Boatsy next, and then Beterbiev will probably face Callum Smith next in the mandatory, and then maybe end of year you get undisputed, or maybe they do Bivol versus Beterbiev now because Top Rank might just be thinking let's cash out now whilst we still can because that fight looked like a lot, and then they make Callum Smith first Boatsy, but I don't know if Eddie Hearn would want to do that with both of them being matchroom fighters. And it's like, why eliminate, you know, two like heavyweight contenders?
And get one, and then you basically got one guy who's just sitting on the fence. But
And let me tell you, Bivol will overrule everyone for a while. I think Bivol, if it's up to Bivol, he'll probably face Boatsy. If he gets through Boatsy, face Beterbiev, become undisputed, and then face Canelo for a bigger check. And I think he beats Canelo again.
it's interesting you say this. So it feels like Beterbiev's got more of a plan or a structure lined up for him. But I guess Yard then, his stocks are I would say the highest it can be right now.
Yeah.
Where would he go from here before we wrap up?
I think if they, everything depends on what Boatsy does next. If Boatsy faces Bivol, and let's say Boatsy loses in a very spirited way, similar that Yard lost, then I think they can both face off each other in a big money fight at O2. I think there's still money in that fight as long as Boatsy puts in a spirited effort. But I think Boatsy's in an awkward situation where it's just like no one knows what's up with you. Obviously, he gets niggling injuries, which always takes him out, but it's also at a point of is it now or never for Boatsy to finally face for a world title? I know his trainer wanted one more fight, but at this point, it's just like if they don't make Boatsy first Callum Smith, you might as well just do Boatsy against Bivol, and especially with like Eddie Hearn basically being Bivol's promoter right now, you might just be like, do you know what, F it, let's jump in the deep end and make Boatsy first Bivol. Why not? Because at this point, Boatsy's in an awkward situation where, for me, they should have made the fight with John Pascal to give Boatsy, maybe a past it guy, but it's almost like the Eubank Smith situation where if Eubank gets over Smith, is a solid name to have in his resume.
Incredible resume just to carry
Yeah,
on going.
the same way I think if Boatsy faced John Pascal, it would have been a solid name on his resume. And just like more rounds out, like Boatsy is fighting at a pace of one fight a year. And honestly, considering what was his Olympics 2016, I just think things ain't panned out the way they would have liked for him. And I really hope that he can be more active this year. I don't know what the situation was with him, but yeah, at this point, I'm just like, F him, man. Let's give him the title shot already. I know they wanted one more fight, but
Time's
he either faces Callum Smith, which I don't think they're going to make. So they're not going to make him face Callum Smith. I'd honestly just give him the title shot.
Do you know what then? With that, we are gonna wrap up with everything. It is we are live right now, so it's what?
Charlemagne, are we live? Listen, man, Royal Rumble people. But
It's
yeah,
20 past midnight. So before we wrap up, final words from you, Ray, about the night, about boxing, like everyone. Was this the fight that we didn't expect to get fans back excited for it fully? But I feel like there's a lot more people that are just like, boom, we want to see more light heavyweight boxing now.
man, what a fight. A fight that we may have even not deserved, but what we needed. Yard, hold your head up high. And what I will say about the stoppage quickly, I think Tunde done the right thing. And from a lot of boxers' reaction, a lot of boxers are agreeing that Tunde done the right thing. And I also think he done the right thing in the sense of he is now seen as the bad guy that stopped Yard. So now it makes Yard look more heroic, the fact that he was still ready to go, even though Tunde threw in the towel for him. So I think, honestly, it's a win-win. I think Tunde's in a position where people ain't gonna like him anyway, so he's probably just thinking, "F it, you're not gonna like me anyway." So I'm cool with being the bad guy if Yard can be the good guy. I think that's was really shown here. And I think those who actually know boxing will give Tunde more credit for the fact that you saved your fighter for another day. And Yard can hold his head up high. East London, stand up for my man, stand behind him, because he really put us on with that fight. And let's get light heavyweight undisputed this year. Bivol versus Beterbiev. Let's make it happen.
You know what? Let's get our British fighters in as well. Let's get a little super series going. Let's do this if we have
Craig
to.
Richards, Buatsi, Yard, Dan Aziz, Callum Smith, Lyndon Arthur. Let's go.
Let's go. And with that, we are going to wrap up today's episode. We are live, so if you do like the content, you like this format as well, like, share, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend, follow all the socials as well. And as always, love and peace.